In this podcast episode, Vivian Tu shares her insights on personal finance, investing, and building generational wealth. Drawing from her experience on Wall Street and in digital media, Vivian challenges conventional money advice, explores societal and psychological factors affecting financial success, and offers practical frameworks to transform financial lives. The conversation also delves into money in relationships, the myths around passive income, and how wealth is preserved and passed down across generations. Vivian begins by addressing the illusion many create about their financial status, highlighting the danger of trying to build a perception of wealth beyond reality. She emphasizes that a six-figure salary isn't necessary to become rich, and that financial transformation can occur within 6 months. Vivian critiques feel-good money rules and instead advocates for data-backed financial systems that she personally learned and implemented. She points to buy now, pay later services as examples of modern consumerism's trap, initially beneficial but now often used frivolously, leading to debt accumulation. The societal pressure fueled by consumerism and social media makes it imperative to recognize when enough is enough, as endless desire to keep up with affluent lifestyles pushes many into financial distress. Vivian discusses how technology and social media have vastly increased the touch points of temptation for spending, far beyond what previous generations faced. Unlike the limited and localized comparisons of keeping up with the Joneses, today's endless access to displays of extreme wealth, private jets, extravagant vacations, creates unrealistic financial anchors for many. This anchoring bias skews perceptions of what a normal or attainable lifestyle looks like, often leading to financial decisions based on comparison to unattainable standards rather than personal reality. Vivian posits that true happiness does not require private island money and urges listeners to avoid tangling their self-worth with such unrealistic financial comparisons. Vivian draws on her experience in digital media strategy to explain how targeted advertising exploits behavioral psychology. Pixels and tracking technologies create relentless ad exposures that wear down individual willpower, a finite resource that weakens with use. She notes the common misconception that greater discipline alone will solve financial woes, arguing instead for building infrastructure and financial choreography to reduce reliance on willpower. Media literacy is a crucial part of financial literacy because understanding why and how advertisements target spending impulses can help people resist unnecessary expenditures and make more conscious financial choices. Drawing from her time on Wall Street, Vivian reveals a surprising norm. Affluent professionals often talk openly about money, sharing details about investments, private school costs, mortgage rates, and trading strategies. Contrary to societal taboos that label money talk as rude or tacky, she sees financial openness as empowering and essential. These conversations highlight another divide. Those born into wealth often inherit not only capital, but also financial language and social capital, giving them an inherent advantage. She stresses the importance of learning this language of wealth, including understanding terms like LP, GP, and fund structures to gain access and confidence in financial decision-making. Vivian distinguishes between old and new money by focusing on social capital, the unspoken cultural knowledge and norms passed through generations of wealth. Having financial resources alone doesn't guarantee inclusion in the club of old money. Social rituals, networks, and shared experiences play a decisive role. As a first-generation wealthy person herself, Vivian embraces her new money identity, unapologetically enjoying the lifestyle she can afford rather than adhering to traditional, understated wealth expressions. This perspective underscores the cultural and behavioral dimensions of financial success beyond mere dollar amounts. The discussion transitions into how couples should navigate money together. Vivian advocates for early and transparent communication, knowing each other's income, assets, debts, and spending habits well before engagement. She points out that nearly half of couples delay these conversations until they are engaged, which may cause problems later. On dividing expenses, she promotes equity over equality, meaning financial contributions should be proportional to income rather than rigidly split 50-50 to avoid resentment. Prenups, often stigmatized, are reframed as essential insurance to protect both partners fairly and tailored to the unique contributions and sacrifices each makes in the relationship. She stresses the need to view money matters as a form of care and partnership rather than conflict. Vivian and the host discuss evolving dynamics in household responsibilities and financial roles within partnerships. They highlight persistent gender disparities in unpaid labor, such as cooking and cleaning, noting that traditionally women's unpaid domestic work contrasts sharply with men's paid professional work. Vivian challenges the idea that women's domestic contributions should be undervalued while men are celebrated for doing paid cooking or earning money, urging for equity and mutual support. Both agree relationships require flexibility, communication, and allocation of burdens based on what partners find easiest or most tolerable, rather than enforcing rigid gender roles. Vivian offers a fresh perspective on budgeting, seeking to remove its negative stigma. Instead of a restrictive no mechanism, she reframes budgeting as a tool that enables more freedom and joyful spending without fear. She explains the popular 50-30-20 budgeting framework, allocating 50% of income to needs, 30% to wants, and 20% to savings or debt repayment, and suggests it as a flexible, practical starting point for anyone. She also stresses automating savings by directing a set portion of each paycheck into separate accounts to remove temptation. When budgeted well, money management becomes a choreographed routine that reduces reliance on willpower. When discussing cash reserves, Vivian explains how much cash to hold depends on individual circumstances. She recommends 3 to 6 months' worth of expenses for single individuals, increasing to 6 to 12 months for heads of households or those with more complex financial responsibilities. The size of the cushion takes into account job volatility, income stability, and special family needs. The emergency fund's purpose is to buy time to get back on track without financial distress, acting as a safety net for unexpected life events or income disruption. Vivian walks through her signature financial exercise of calculating the "fuck you" number, the invested principal amount required to sustainably fund one's ideal lifestyle. By imagining one's perfect year and estimating total expenses, then dividing that number by 4%, a conservative withdrawal rate common in financial planning, one can determine the nest egg needed to become financially independent. This exercise transforms abstract ideas about wealth into concrete goals that empower listeners to plan and take actionable steps toward quitting unsatisfying jobs or achieving financial freedom. Vivian emphasizes tackling high-interest debt, especially credit card balances, with APRs ranging 20 to 30% before investing. Clearing such debts is critical because the compounding interest on debt often outpaces returns on typical investments. After debt is controlled, she encourages investing according to different timelines. Long-term goals like retirement can be addressed through target date funds, while near-term goals, such as children's education, may benefit from tax-advantaged accounts like 529 plans. She also advocates investing in oneself to develop skills or credentials that enhance earning potential, a strategy that often outperforms traditional investments early in a career. Vivian dispels common myths about passive income portrayed online. She points out that many passive ventures like real estate flipping, drop shipping, or affiliate marketing are far from passive and require significant upfront work and maintenance. The only truly passive income she identifies is income from ownership, whether in stocks, bonds, or businesses, that generates returns without ongoing active effort. She reminds listeners that creating passive income streams demands upfront investment of time, money, and skills. Vivian addresses why money evokes strong emotional responses and feelings of scarcity or unworthiness. Money is tied to societal notions of success, and how people treat each other around money often reflects internal beliefs about ability and deservingness. She shares her own journey from feeling that wealth was inaccessible, especially as a woman of Asian descent, to finding representation through mentors who embodied successful, wealthy individuals that looked like her. She highlights the importance of representation and mentorship as critical to reshaping beliefs about what is possible. Finally, Vivian introduces the concept of financial choreography, intentional planning and structuring of how money moves through one's life and across generations. Wealthy families use legal and financial tools like trusts, prenups, and staged inheritances to protect assets and encourage responsible financial behavior among heirs. This includes tying distributions to milestones such as education or home purchases and protecting business ownership. Such strategic planning differs from leaving wealth to chance and is critical to sustaining prosperity long term. Vivian's upcoming live event and book aim to share these insider strategies openly to empower a wider audience to participate in wealth creation and preservation.